Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This episode of CTO Confessions is brought to you by the one and only IT Labs. And your host today is me, TC Gill, IT Labs Chief Talking Officer, and I'm speaking from London, UK. Welcome, Stepan. Welcome to CTO Confessions podcast.
Thank you.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
I am CTO at Studytube currently. I started with Studytube a long time ago. It's around 8 years ago. I started just like engineer, and then gradually when we grow and we became bigger and bigger. First it was team lead position, then it was lead of team leads, and then finally I got this CTO position. So
brilliant.
Now we are more or less big enough to have such a title.
Excellent. That's really good. And what was that journey like to becoming a CTO? Was it a meandering path, or was it kind of like you were set on becoming a CTO?
That was actually always a dream for me when I was just a developer, to be a CTO, to be CTO of the big company. And I was dreaming not about big title, but I was thinking about really interesting high-level tasks that I can solve with CTO title. Maybe to help other developers to solve problems, or to be more efficient with the process, with technologies, and I really enjoy it. So that's with such thoughts. That's the path I made. It was interesting to be a team lead as well.
Excellent. And as part of the kind of, I imagine in your position that, there's an involvement in the actual business aspect of the organization as well, because it's not all about tech. It's about you delivering outcomes that allow the business to thrive. I mean, was that quite a difficult thing to learn, and or what was that like for you?
Yeah, sure. When you're just a developer, you are thinking how to structure your code right.
Yes. Yeah.
And the main goal is to have ideal code, ideal structure, ideal infrastructure, whatever. But when you're moving towards CTO and towards business goals, you really need to think whether you really need this ideal code. Will it serve the business value? And if yes, why not? Especially for a long-term goal. But sometimes you need to take pragmatic decisions, and sometimes it's not always the best developer decisions. But you see, if you change button from left to right, you'll get much more value than if you apply another framework that's from developer perspective, it's would be much better. So Sometimes pragmatic decision is something that you need to do.
Yeah.
Thinking about business values.
Brilliant. And the company that you're working for at the moment, so you've arrived at this kind of CTO position. What does your company do? What's the problem that it's solving in the market?
Studytube helps big companies to organize their learning activities and help to improve their employees. So we are providing subscription as a service platform where they can do not only online courses, like Studytube started 10 years ago, online course platform, but now we are not only library of courses. We also have 200 courses, or already 300 courses, but it's not the main purpose.
Right.
Now we can help companies to manage all these learning activities, and not only for internal library of courses, but also externally, to arrange everything with training organization outside, to manage certification, qualifications. For some companies, it's really crucial to have certification each year, for example, for security.
Yes.
If you're not certified, you're not eligible to do your job.
Yes. Yeah.
So in our system, we try to keep all these things like very transparent for managers, and if somebody needs to be pushed to do something, that's very clear.
Yeah.
In the system.
And you kind of described offline around the journey of the product, because it started off with a particular thing in mind. Just having a look at my notes. So it started off very content orientated, course orientated, and then you had this kind of idea of making it available to organizations, as you described. What was that? Because to me, that's like a pivot in the organization, and I guess the technological needs were different for the different things that you were focusing on at the time.
Yeah, exactly. It started like just a content library, and even for students. So the first version was just for students. Then next generation was course library, but more professional courses, time management, marketing. So for organizations. And we gradually moved from B2C to B2B solution.
Yeah.
And after gathering more and more clients, we were gathering also their needs. And we understand from client to client that some things are still need to be solved. They don't have right tools for it. Like, for example, approval flow. Approval flow is something that's like if one of your employee needs to do certificate or wants to do certification or wants to do a training. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. He or she should request approval for the budget.
Yeah.
And speaking like with companies of size of Mitsubishi, for example, they have really complex system of approval flow. They need to send like via email. They need to send a like PDF document.
Yes.
that next manager should sign. And after he signs, he or she needs to send it next, and it goes almost up to top.
Wow.
And that's all goes via email, so it's super inconvenient. And we found that it's not only one company. A lot of companies tries to manage either via email or via Excel spreadsheets. So we added such a feature to our learning management system, and now they can set up their approval flow, and it works. Just automatically works.
Yeah.
If some of the manager forgets to approve, he or she gets notification via email. So there is no like broken chain in this process.
Yeah.
Like it was with
the old version. And from a technology leader perspective, those pivots in what your platform and what your technology is providing, I mean, what were the challenges that you faced around that?
From technology point of view, like it's always difficult when you're growing to keep your system still scalable and manageable, because there are a lot of connections. Your models are pretty coupled. Everybody nowadays speaking about microservices, but microservices is like a silver bullet that maybe for some cases it works, for some cases it's don't. So that's when you're growing, your code base is growing as well, and it's difficult because all these tasks about architecture of your system, it's very long term. So you need to invest a lot of resources, but it's like for 2 years, for 3 years, you need to plan it. And there are a lot of conflicts with business values, like you need to build this feature for this client.
Yes.
What will you do? Of course, we will build the feature for the client. But still, it's difficult. It's difficult also to convince our CEO and our CPO that we need specific thing. because I understand them. They are like want more business value. That's their goal, as much business value as possible. And my goal, like a CTO, to still keep our system architecture and infrastructure manageable, and that it will work. It will not die in 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. We kind of joke sometimes that CTOs are like time lords. You know, not only you have to look after legacy, the past. You have the current work, the present, but you also got to look out to the future. Where is this going? Because otherwise, you're going to end up hitting some kind of pretty phenomenal blocks. So, as a tech leader, how do you manage that? How do you convince the business people that, look, I really need to invest in this progression, evolution of your technology platform so that we've got more capability later?
Well, usually when it's a lot of investment in terms of people, resources, time, some calculations, some arguments need to be made to make clear picture what if you will not do today, if you will not manage to put some resources here, it will be serious problem in 1 year, for example.
Yeah.
Or we will increase the risk of some security vulnerabilities.
So coming back to you, Stepan, as a tech leader in your own right, I mean, what's the passion? What really drives you as a tech leader?
I would say it's, in terms of technologies, I would call two things. First is Angular. It's a JavaScript to TypeScript framework that I started working being an engineer, and then I got some knowledge, and then I started sharing this knowledge. And after that, I got Google Developer Expert title from Google. That's
nice.
Like they just want to say thank you that I'm sharing the knowledge somewhere in conferences, organizing meetups for this technology. And I really like it. It makes life of developers easier, and it helps to achieve business goals much faster.
Excellent.
Providing all the tools. And second thing is about concept infrastructure as a code that I really liked. And there are several technologies to achieve the goal. Like from AWS, there is a tool that is called CloudFormation, but I really fall in love with the alternative that is called Terraform. Sometimes it's similar, sometimes it's different. I would say Terraform can do much better. But for both technologies, the idea infrastructure as a code is that you keep your own infrastructure scripted. Right. So basically all your services, databases, and other things are in code. It means that you can keep it somewhere in the version control.
Yeah.
In case of any change, there is no like some sudden change that, especially like in startup environment where all developers are admins in your infrastructure and one decided to remove production server, another decided to make some changes to database.
Yes.
No, that's not how we want it to be. And important thing that with infrastructure as a code, we're not only controlling the flow, but we also make it super transparent for developers. Because without it, in many organizations, we have dedicated DevOps guys that know very well infrastructure. They only have rights to change anything in infrastructure. But for developers, it's black box.
Yeah.
They push their code somewhere on the server and it works.
Yes.
But I think that's better to provide more transparency to developers that they know. And if they need to change something, it's also possible. So they can create a pull request on GitHub and it will be reviewed, approved, merged, and automatically deployed.
what is your leadership style? How do you roll as a leader?
So for me, I really like to be a leader and to help people to achieve the maximum of their possible capacity without like directly saying them what to do, without like direct leadership. I really like to let everybody to do what they can do and what they can do the best. And if I see that something goes wrong, I can like help a bit, adjust a bit to put in the right direction. But I really hate micromanagement, and it really destroys the company culture, I think.
Yeah.
When instead of software engineers that solve problem, that's not just code or implement the solution that is written in very details in requirements, but really tries to solve when you have a problem and they provide a solution. That's sort of engineers I really like. And
yeah, that's great. And where did you learn that? Because some of us have had to learn that, namely me, I have to put my hand up, to have that more servant leadership type approach to stuff. What was the defining moment that taught you that this is the way to go?
That's hard to say. I cannot say that was one moment that completely switched my mind. Probably, yeah, I was engineer myself. I saw different type of managers, and I can remember how I felt at that time, whether it motivated me or vice versa. I didn't want to do my job the best, just because manager wasn't unhappy and without any reason blaming like some of the managers are doing that. No, I think not the best managers.
Yeah, okay, that's brilliant. And as a leader, what keeps you up at night? What's the thing that plays on your mind and sticks around on that radar, that leadership radar?
I think the most crucial thing right now is Ruby technology for us.
Wow.
Because that's a part of our system, that's our backend. And as you probably know, Ruby technology is not that popular as it was 10 years ago. And now less and less developers want to learn Ruby. So we have less and less junior developers. It means that in 2-3 years, we will have less and less medium developers. And also for senior developers, some of them already migrated to other technologies, such as Go, Elixir, and so on. So that's really hard time to finding just Ruby software engineer is already a challenge, and to find good Ruby software engineer, it's getting harder and harder. And I believe maybe in 3, maybe in 5 years, it will be the same like with Perl technology. I know that there are some companies that still have to support this technology themselves, because they have some enterprise products like well-known Booking.com. They're still using Perl, and now they have to hire not even Perl developers because they don't exist anymore. They hire developers with willing to learn Perl. So they teach them technology that is already dead. So that's fascinating. In fact, I was talking to a CTO earlier on around Cobalt, and he was saying, people get paid quite a lot of money in that because it's just such a rare skill to have around. And I think Cobalt's used quite a lot within the banking industry. So, that's an interesting kind of situation. And so as a tech leader, how do you handle the landscape of technology changing so quickly? I mean, it is like a whirlwind. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Especially front end 10 years ago and front end now. That's like completely different thing. But what we try to do is to try to build all our projects in modular way. That's in case of refactoring, you don't need to change everything. You can change one piece, another thing, another piece, another, and finally you have your project updated.
Right.
We don't have, and I'm proud about it. We don't have a lot of legacy. We are using all the, I cannot say latest technology, but for the versions that are very close to latest. And
right.
That's very good also for developers, for engineers. They want to work with new technology. They don't want to work with something that was 10 years ago.
Yes.
And new technology unlock you to do some more interesting stuff.
Yes, that's right. And I guess the cost of migrating existing legacy code over to a newer version or even a newer technology, the cost, that's quite horrendous, I imagine. It's like it's almost like, it's not technical debt, but it's, I guess, historical debt kind of thing, paying that off. Is that so? I mean, what advice would you give to kind of tech leaders around trying to bring up the technology to you be using the current flavor of the era?
What we did with migration, we always try to combine some business feature and also migration of technology.
Right.
So, for example, we had a big redesign of our library, and with this redesign, we used new version of framework.
Yes.
And that helps. But you definitely, what you like, step zero is to build all your product modular, that you can replace the modules.
Yes.
Because if you have just one big piece, that will be not possible. You will stick with it, and it will be not possible for update. It's too much work. With small bricks, it's possible to replace it one by one.
That's great advice. Yeah, I can see that. Break it up and then kind of migrate it over as and when you've got a business case to kind of do that as well. So it's brilliant. And from your leadership to teams, I mean, what are your tips around creating high-performing teams in your organization? Have you got any tips around communication and also maintaining alignment?
In terms of, first question about efficiency, as I said, I believe like in sort of software engineers, that they solve problems, so that they have initial very good level of self-motivation. And basically by giving them freedom, not setting exact guidelines, very strict guidelines, it results with very good efficiency. And the second thing about alignment, we are now trying to implement kind of ideas of Spotify model. If you know, it's kind of extension from Agile, Scrum, and Agile works pretty good on the level of team. Just one team works very, very good. When you have two teams, it's not difficult to set up alignment. When you have 3, 4, 5, and 5 teams, that's, I would say, that's already a size when you definitely need to think about how to be sure that they know what they're doing, and they are not repeat work of each other. They are not conflicting. And here we already introduced two more positions for for each technological stack. We have a leader. So we have our agile teams, like probably 5 people. They're completely independent, but inside we have front end backend, QA person, sometimes design. And for each of this set of, each group, we have leader, like backend lead, front-end lead, QA lead. That makes sure that everything is aligned within technology. And each team also has product owner, and we have chief product officer that makes sure that alignment between product goals of each team is also like they on the same page.
So as we come towards the closing arc of the podcast, Stepan, what's your advice to aspiring tech leaders out there that are thinking about wanting to go into that CTO space?
So what I see a lot of companies started doing when everything switched to remote, a lot of companies started hiring remote developers, but like from different locations, just one from here, another from there, and it not always work, I would say. If you want to go like outsource or open your another department in some other country and build company culture there, that works good, that works fine, and it worked for us, for Studytube. We have also our department in Ukraine, and we are pretty happy with this department.
Brilliant.
And even if they work remote right now, they still can gather in the office. They could have meetings, they could have team activities, real life activities, even during Corona time. But when you have these separate freelancers, developers, it will be super hard to build company culture. I know some companies, they're like remote from the first day. And they like thought out all the processes to be really company, taking into account that all are remote.
Yes.
For example, GitLab, they're doing it, and they're doing it very well with company culture. But I believe they invested a lot of time to think about all the processes, how they will manage, to make sure that it's really, they work like a company. They not just do some outsource to some freelancers.
Yes.
And that's super important point that I think a lot of companies just forget when they start thinking about, okay, we need more developers now. Let's just hire some from different locations.
Yes. Yeah. I think, I can understand there needs to be a strategy around that. And I guess sometimes with startups and small companies, that's the kind of shortcut. It's where they kind of go to initially. Okay. Thank you for the advice on that. And any books that you recommend that have been gateway books for you, books that have made a real kind of impact on your leadership and your kind of your personal growth, even, as a leader?
I don't have specific books. I would say I read a lot of good articles, and I have a book in mind for explaining Scrum. That's, I believe, it is called Just How Scrum Works. It's a very small book, very simple. I suggest like each time for person new to Scrum or Agile, I suggest this book. It's and also right now it's hard to imagine already a software engineer without understanding Scrum principles or Agile principles, but sometimes it happens, and I suggest this book to really understand it in quick way because there are a lot of books about Agile, but a lot of big books about like going into very details, but in fact, you don't need these details. Probably from the beginning, you will adjust all these details based on your company processes.
Yeah, that's good. I've read many agile and scrum books myself, being an agile coach. So I'll take a look at that. And you're right. It's not so much the detail and the volume of information you need. It's more about getting the essence of what agile is about, and for me, it's always going back to the values and principles and speaking to them, asking them what's the right thing to do here. If I was going to honor this value, what's the thing I would do there? And it's a bit of a challenge when people want to be told more about what to do as opposed to contemplating the actual essence of the values and principles. And here we go, Stepan. If I was a tech genie and I was going to offer you a wish for your tech leadership, what would you wish for?
Well, it will be always not one, it will be always a lot. And we already spoke today about Ruby technology, so that's I would change it to, for example, Python or something that has future for next 10 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe it always so that we have our roadmap, technical roadmap, and as I said from the beginning, there is always conflict between business values and technical values that we are building foundation for next 2, 3, sometimes even 10 years that we need to build it now. We need to invest resources now. And I would love with such genie wish just to close several points that is really because each time we have to postpone. And that's.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do for you. I'll see if I can make that come true for you, Stepan, okay? And as a final full stop to the podcast, and unfortunately our time's come to an end, what's your key takeaway that you'd like to leave the tech leader, men and women out there, as a parting gift? Technical leaders, sometimes they're more technical person or manager person. And for technical person, ideal code, ideal infrastructure is the first priority. For manager person, for business person, business values are the first priority. So finding ideal balance between these two, I think that's very good for technical leaders. Excellent. Finding that blend, as they say in the Buddhist philosophy, the middle way, kind of thing. It is a very enlightened way. But that's a great note to finish on, Stepan. Thank you for your time. It's been lovely having you on board, sir. Thank you. It was nice to be here. Well, I loved hearing Stepan's journey and learning about his learning on that journey. So what do you take away from the podcast? These were my nuggets of gold from a leadership perspective. Number one, from a business perspective and tech, I love to hear how Studytube pivoted from business to consumer to business. The subject of pivoting is a really important one, I believe, because I've seen tech projects and businesses nosedive into disaster by not listening to the warnings and, importantly, not seeing the opportunities along the way. And then, even more importantly, acting on them. And my second key takeaway is the importance of technically maintaining the resilience of a product you are creating, i.e. as you create forwardly, the product maintains a balance of delivery with scalability and maintainability. And from Stepan's approach, this was a modular approach to one's design. Also, on the subject of maintaining resilience of your product, it's about avoiding the debts that plague so many complex dynamic projects. Technical debt, and also legacy, historical tech debt. For example, certain skills to support the stack and programming languages used in the past disappearing or dwindling. This innovation storm is creating some great results and new ways forward, but it's also creating a lot of pain and technical anchors which create a real stress and challenge for tech leaders out there. And my third and final key takeaway is that old chestnut of wisdom, not micromanaging your people. I really encourage you to really wash that command and control way of working out of your leadership and flushing it out of your company super pronto. So thank you for your time, Stepan. It was great speaking to you, and I hope you receive more compliments like the one you shared from Manpower, where your product makes a difference, makes an impact, creating a smoother and more elegant learning and onboarding curve for many organisations. Thank you, sir. And finally, remember to subscribe to CTO Confessions podcast and IT Labs newsletter, where you get regular tech articles and invites to the IT Labs webinar series. URLs for this can be found at the bottom of this page. We are consistently creating material to create, nurture and support a community of tech leaders. And of course, if you want to know more about IT Labs services, including our Teams as a Service service, please don't hesitate to get in touch. As mentioned in the intro, please think of us like tech leaders' favourite off-the-shelf service, providing agility, high-performing teams off that shelf with a wide breadth of skill and knowledge. Well, that's all, folks. Look after each other and keep safe. Wishing you all a good day or evening wherever you are in the world from all of us here at IT Labs. Live long, live well and prosper until we meet again on the next CTO Confessions podcast.